Am I the a-hole for telling my parents I'm not changing my name because of their name regret? I'm 16M, my parents' youngest kid, and the only kid to name based on what they liked versus what the family wanted them to name us. My siblings were all named after family members like both my dad's and mom's families prefer. By the time they got around to having me, they were living fuck this shit and told their family they were choosing a name based on what they liked and not based on family. So they named me Sunny. Yeah, the girl version of Sunny. I don't care. I don't think Sunny is girly because it has a U versus an O. But anyway, my parents started to regret my name when I was maybe 10. I don't remember exactly when, but I can remember being about 10 and my parents started sometimes calling me by my middle name and only stopping when I told them it was weird and I liked my first name. When I was 13, they asked me if I ever went by a nickname and I said no. Last year, they said some kids change their names before graduating high school because they want something more grown up and they want to save the added expense of changing the name on their degree. I was like, oh, I guess if people want that, it makes sense. Then I said it must suck to hate your name. 6 months ago, my parents said I looked like a James nicknamed Jamie. I asked them why they thought that and they said I just had that look. They asked what I thought of the name and I said I like Jamie but prefer Sunny. Then they asked if I liked the name Luke and I said no. In June, they asked me if I would consider letting them change my name to something different. They said they feel like they named me as a big fuck you to their families, but felt bad that I had such an unserious name for a man. I told them I didn't want to change my name, and I always loved the way they talked about finding my name. They said their feelings had changed, and they felt like the name being cute and light and full of hope wasn't great for going into my adult years. They said they deeply regretted it. I told them I was glad they made the choice they did, and they shouldn't stress it. But last week they got the paperwork for a legal name change, presented me with like 3 name choices, and asked me to pick. They said they really didn't want to live with the guilt. I told them I'm not changing my name because of their name regret. I told them how I feel about my name is more important now. They told me I should at least think of their feelings and that I should consider the future and whether I'll be taken seriously. Am I the a-hole? Next story. Am I the a-hole for not telling my ex-wife that we lived in a rental apartment? Hi. Back in 2008 when I started university, I rented a 2-bedroom apartment with my ex-girlfriend at the time and my friend and his girlfriend. We got a great deal for it, as the owner of the place lost his job because of everything that happened back then and decided to try her luck abroad where she still lives. Years went by and after university my friend and his GF decided to find a place of their own. As we had full-time jobs, renting this apartment together did not seem expensive anymore, and also did not seem expensive to rent alone after we broke up sometime later. So there I was, alone in a 2-bedroom apartment in the central part of the city. The owner decided that she was too lazy to mess with bills and stuff every month and made arrangements for me to pay everything directly. As I earned her trust, I still pay her monthly rent, which is very cheap for today, and deal with everything else having her authorization. Because of the perfect location, my second bedroom was basically free B&B for my friends who did not live in the city, and I did not mind. It is good to have company if you live alone. In 2020, I met a girl who was in a rush to get married, and as I was madly in love, we did in 2021. For some reason, I never told her the story of how I rented the place or that it was a rental at all. It just never came up. I have been so used to the fact that I am an authorized representative with building cooperative things, etc., that I refer to it as my place. Our relationship started to cool down and we found out that we were not perfect for each other after all. So divorce it is. So we did the paperwork for divorce and she is moving out. A few days ago, I received an email from her with a real estate valuation document as an attachment. While I was not at home, she wasted 500 euros for someone to evaluate an apartment that does not belong to us, and wrote that I probably have to take a loan to pay her the 50% of that. I replied to her, didn't I ever tell her that this place is a rental? Why does she even assume that I can afford a 2-bedroom apartment in the city center? She knows where I work and how much I earn. She called and screamed at me that I had lied to her for years and hid the fact that the apartment was rental. Then she tells me that, well, she will take the car as we got that together. And I was quiet for a moment and then told her, you do know that is a lease, right? The owner of the car is the bank. Then she demanded that I pay for the valuation and I replied, I did not ask you to do it. She called me an a-hole and ended the call. Of course, she told our whole friends group how I lied to her during the whole marriage, and there was a discussion in a messenger group with friends about if is it a lie or not. Whether was it an a-hole thing to do. Some agree with me and some with her. My best friend told me that this is a perfect topic for a Reddit thread. Now I ask you, Reddit, am I the a-hole? Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom's family I don't owe her because she had gender disappointment? My mom never wanted a boy. She wanted girls. Apparently, her dream was 4 daughters. But she had me, 16M, first. I have seen photos and videos of the day I was born. She cried hysterically when they told her I was a boy. Then she refused to hold me. After we were cleaned up, she cried about not using the name she had chosen and said she didn't know how to move on from it. All this was caught on camera. Eventually, my paternal grandma took me, and she was the person to hold me in photos and videos taken during the rest of our hospital stay. My paternal grandma was my sole parent figure for the first 8 years of my life. She took care of me and I spent so much time at her house. Sometimes I was there for weeks. Then she had a brain bleed and died. So I was left with a mom who wanted girls and not a boy, and a dad who wanted to be a provider and nothing more. My mom had my sister Lily 2 years after me. So mom got her girl, and Lily got all her attention. I got grandma until I was 8, and then nobody. My mom and Lily are super close and mom adores Lily. Lily got the bigger bedroom, she got the gifts, she got all her favorite snacks. She gets to do all the extracurricular activities she could ever want, and her birthdays are huge parties with huge gifts. Christmas she gets at minimum 25 gifts from mom alone. Mom typically gets me 1. Never anything I'd like or want, but thought that counts, which is 0. My mom's family don't act too interested in making up for my lack of parental love. In the last couple of years, mom and I have argued more and I give her a hard time. Dad's never around to give him one. But mom? If she wants to ignore me, then she can hear how shitty it is, and if she wants to treat my sister like a perfect angel, then she can hear about it. Mom has mentioned how I ruined her dream of 4 daughters. We were at Mom's parents' house Friday, and Mom gushed about Lily doing good on a project, and the scooter she got Lily to help her get around more easily. She got Lily a custom helmet and a personalized lock for her scooter. She couldn't stop talking about it, and I told her she really does love to shower her favorite with gifts and praise. My mom's family told me I should take it easier on her and said I should understand we had some little troubles because of Mom's gender disappointment. I told them I don't owe her shit because she had gender disappointment and that I didn't ask to be born to a mom who only wanted daughters. They told me I lacked adult understanding and compassion. Am I the a-hole? Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter, yeah, I get it, you hate him, when he went on a father-daughter trip? Edit. Before I get a million put her into therapy comments, we tried twice. She would just sit there. For months, even with different therapists, she would not talk. She just sat there. So, I, 42F, have 2 daughters, Emma, 17F, and Lucy, 10F. The issue revolves around my husband, who is Emma's stepfather. Emma's dad passed away when she was younger, and I remarried 3 years ago. She and my husband don't get along at all, and she makes it clear she dislikes him. My husband has tried to bond with her, but Emma shuts him out completely, refuses to talk, and ignores him. We all know she will never see him as a father figure, and we are fine with it. Here's where it gets tricky. When Emma was younger, her bio dad would take her to father-daughter outings. We have a lot of pictures of those. Lucy was too young to remember any of them. We thought it would be nice to do it again since Lucy does see her stepdad as her dad. Specifically, they would go to a pumpkin patch and then carve them. They went to the pumpkin patch yesterday and had a great time. Lucy and my husband really bonded and had a good time. The issue is Emma. She is pissed that he took over the tradition with Lucy. That my husband stole the tradition and I am disrespecting my late husband's memory. I was exhausted from hearing the same arguments over and over. So, I snapped and said, yeah, I get it, you hate him, but your sister sees him as her dad and doesn't have these memories like you do. Are you really doing to ruin this for your sister and no one owns going to a pumpkin patch? She has been pissed and calling me an insensitive jerk. She is also getting on Lucy's ass for going with my husband. My mom thinks I'm a jerk here, and I need an outside opinion. Next story. Am I the a-hole for agreeing with my mom that it's kind of pathetic my wife can't cook? I, 28M, have been married to my wife, 31F, for about a year. Overall, things are great. But one thing that's been bugging me is that my wife doesn't know how to cook at all. I've always been the one to handle meals, which I was fine with in the beginning because I enjoy cooking. But over time, it started to wear on me, especially when I come home after a long day at work and still have to cook dinner while she relaxes. She refuses to cook and claims there is nothing wrong with not being able to cook. It's been an ongoing issue between us. I have been trying to teach her, but she is really bad at it. Many conversations about this. The other night, my mom, 56F, came over for dinner. As usual, I was in the kitchen preparing everything, and my wife was sitting with my mom. At one point, my mom offered to help, and I asked if she could make the gravy or cut some fruit. My wife was standing around in the kitchen when my mom handed her a knife and asked her to cut some fruit while she handled the gravy. My wife couldn't figure out how to hold it properly and ended up making a mess. My mom watched her fail to cut the fruit and then blurted out, "It's honestly kind of pathetic that you don't even know how to cut a piece of fruit at your age." She then went behind her and started to guide her on how to cut stuff like you do with a kid. My wife kinda shrugged and finished cutting her fruit with my mom guiding her. Dinner happens, and I noticed my wife was not happy the whole night. My mom left and she was pissed I didn't defend her. I embarrassed her by letting it happen. We got into a bad argument, and I told her that it is pathetic she cannot even cut fruit. She is literally older than me and can't hold a knife properly. She told me that was not the point that I needed to defend her, and it's not her fault she is bad at cooking. I point out it is, and she is embarrassed because not being able to hold a knife properly is embarrassing for an adult. My wife thinks I am a huge jerk. Edit. I cannot keep up. Over 2,000 comments and I have things to do. If you have any info may already be answered in a previous comment. So update. I definitely think this is weaponized incompetence. I will suggest marriage counseling and cooking classes. If things don't change, I will be out. I will make this very clear. Also, for those asking, it was strawberries. She was smushing them and cutting them with the stems still on.